Today, when we look through the halls of university and see a healthy and diverse student body interacting with each other and faculty, many sectional trophies, and the exceptional art and photography on the walls, it can be hard to fully understand the school's humble beginning. University was founded on one basic principle: to create a place where a student can thrive and develop in every aspect of the high school experience, a place where a student is truly valued for who they are. When my parents, Chuck and Nancy Webster, accepted the job in the early spring of 1999, the one thing that was clear to them was that every decision and every idea would be rated on how it will increase a student's growth, a high school where kids come first. The minor details like where the school would be and what the building would look like and who the teachers would be and finding the students who would attend would all be decided later. Creating the soul of university was the most important thing to them. It quickly became clear to my parents that this would require a different, unorthodox form of administration. In order to make this vision a reality, my parents understood the amount of sacrifice and dedication it was going to take. This may have intimidated some, but to my parents, they were empowered by the idea of creating a kid-centered high school. I had the privilege of being a part of this groundbreaking process and was able to watch my parents bring their vision to life. Listening to my mom in that small office in Highland Capitol, talking to prospective students about the future of her school, is one of the most remarkable and passionate things I've ever heard. She was selling a school that didn't have a building, half the faculty, and no sports teams. She convinced 28 students and their families in her dream. Still to this day, I have no idea how she did it. Spending Saturdays and Sundays stapling together admissions packets seemed tedious at the time, but now I'm happy that I got to hear my mom speak so thoughtfully about education, what a school built for teenagers would look like. Picture this. It is late August of 2000, and it's the first week of school for university. I was in 5th grade at Orchard, so school had not started for me yet. A friend of mine and I were coming home from his house. We enter my house to find 4 students at my dining room table, having a conversation about a Faulkner book my dad was making them read. We then enter the kitchen and see 3 teachers. 2 are having a conversation about class, the other is persistently looking in the fridge for something. There's a 4th taking a nap on the couch. I nonchalantly greet everyone, and my friend and I make our way to my room. I close the door and find my friend has a rather puzzled and horrified look on his face. Dude, there's like a guy looking in your fridge, and I think some other dude was asleep on your couch. It was then I realized that most 11-year-olds' houses function slightly different than mine. That was how my parents operated in the first year. The house was just an extension of the school. When the ranch house had a plumbing issue, or an AC problem, or a bad spider infestation, our house acted as the teacher lounge and office. When Portable 4 was not yet operational at the start of school, our dining room acted as a space for study hall and geometry class. Our house also acted as a space for staff meetings. I will never forget walking into my parents' bedroom and seeing an easel with teaching ideas written in blue marker. I looked at my parents in bewilderment, and my mom casually responds, "Yeah, Chris Bradley led a breakout session during the staff meeting in here." My mom said that statement with so much comfort, I had no choice but to accept it. And that is how my parents responded to unusual obstacles. What I found so fascinating about all this was that everyone just went along with it. My parents were so calm and confident in their leadership roles that it was hard to think of certain things as unusual. They acted as if it was crazy not to hold a staff meeting in your bedroom. Abnormal things that had never been done before all of a sudden felt normal because of my parents' leadership. This sacrifice and dedication continued in the second year. It is once again the start of school, and I have 2 weeks before I start 6th grade. I'm coming from the newly finished gym and headed into my house. I make my way to my room when I suddenly feel someone barreling towards me, and I hear the paintings on the wall rattling. My mom grabs me by the shoulder and prevents me from opening my door. She frantically whispers in my ear, "You can't go in there." And then pauses. Instantly, I'm confused. My brain quickly attempts to make sense out of this statement, but it's useless. She then whispers, "Leslie Appel, a university freshman, is sick and she's asleep in your bed." I tried to string enough words together to make a sentence out of this, but it just comes out as mumbles. All I could say is, okay. After the initial shock of having a sick student sleeping in my bed, it kind of just felt normal, due to my mom's casual and confident demeanor. As more of these instances occurred, the more normal they seemed to feel to everyone. Like when my dad walked into our house and found a living room with no couch, and me sitting on the floor watching TV. Cullen Webster, the couch. Without looking away from the TV, I responded, "Mom's using it for the musical." Ah, yes, lucky stiff. He then poured a bowl of granola and read the New York Times sports section. It just made sense to us. My mom needed a couch for the spring musical, so why not use ours? I mean, it's not like you really need a couch anyway. Eventually, this style of administration and teaching just became first nature to everyone. In the fall of 2004, due to the inspiration of a few students, my father created a postmodern advanced English class. My dad was describing the class to my mom and me. 2-hour class, be on Sundays, and wondering if we could do it at the house. My mom so lovingly responded with, "Ugh, a class on Sundays, and they have to listen to you talk for 2 hours? I would rather be beaten over the head with a live rat." Her second statement being, "I'll pick up some juice and granola, make that pop and cookies. There has to be some reason for them to want to come back." So every Sunday for 2 hours, a handful of kids would be in our living room talking about postmodern literature, sometimes with the Colts game on silent in the background. I remember looking at them talking about Joseph Conrad's Secret Agent with Peyton Manning on TV and thinking, this is the only house in the world where this is taking place. But what most surprised me about this class was that when it ended, the students wouldn't leave. They would stay just to talk to my mom and dad about anything. Sometimes they would even stay for dinner. One of my favorite statements that my mom has said to a student was, "Want to stay for dinner? I mean, I feel I at least owe you after a 2-hour discussion on Mrs. Dalloway." What you should understand about my parents is that they are possessed with this authentic passion to empower and change students' lives. Even if they wanted to do it differently, they couldn't. When I was a freshman at IU, my dad called me at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday night. Seeing his number, I immediately thought something was wrong. Why else would he be calling me this late? And quickly answered the phone. "Boyfriend, good, you're still up. Got a couple of minutes? Is everything okay?" I say worriedly. Is everything okay? I say worriedly. Yeah, everything's fine. Girls' soccer team had a game against Westfield, and it was truly amazing. We then proceeded to have a 45-minute conversation about Elle Steele's athleticism, Allie McAllister's skill with the ball, Lauren Vogler's leadership, and the tenacity of Jessica Ledger in goal. When describing Ledger's ability in goal, my dad got to use one of his favorite expressions. "She's like a greyhound going after those sticks." Mainly, we talked about how they communicated and worked as a team. They lost, but you would have no idea based on the energy that radiated from his description. The conversation that my dad and I had about the girls' soccer team falls into a certain category or phrase that has been lovingly named being chucked. It involves a lengthy conversation with my dad about multiple topics, none of them requiring any similarity to each other. He could go from telling a story from Bruce Chapman's book Songlines to the success of the girls' golf team in one move. It usually involves an abnormal place to have a conversation, like the parking lot, the weight room, or another odd place. For instance, it's my freshman year at university, and I'm walking through Andrews Hall. I notice my friend Kurt with a very odd look on his face. We make eye contact, and he has a look as if something is really wrong. I say, "What's up?" He says, shuffling his feet and looking at the ground. "I just had a 30-minute conversation with your dad." Not surprised, I say, "Yeah, he can do that." Still with the odd look on his face, "Well, it was in the bathroom." "Well, what did you guys talk about?" Not too much, mainly the Iliad and how I thought Ajax was an ancient Greek version of a modern-day thug. Oh yeah, and what I thought of the new offense for basketball. In the bathroom. It is important to note that this conversation took place in the bathroom of Portable 3, which, for those of you who don't know, was very cramped quarters. I asked my dad about the situation later that night, and his response was not surprising. Sitting in on Bollinger Spanish 3, saw Kurt, asked him if he had time to talk, looked around for an open space, saw the bathroom was empty, so we went in there. He spoke as if I should be the one who's embarrassed for asking that question. There was a record number of kids that year, and my dad wanted to have a personal relationship with each of them, but he didn't have an office. You would find my dad talking to kids by the vending machines, in his car, the athletic storage room, and, yes, occasionally a bathroom. This seemed odd to every staff member, and some, i.e. my mom, wanted to solve the problem by creating an office for him. His response to these suggestions was always a statement like, if Kurt can't have a conversation with me in a bathroom, I don't know where he can have it. I still don't know what that means. I just really, really like that sentence. But my dad didn't really see any issue. All he cared about was the connections he was building with the kids. Being chucked is one of my favorite things that my dad does. It is a true representation of my parents' passion to connect with kids and encourage their development. To my mom and dad, when I hear you talk about the creation of the school with people outside of our community, you always make it seem as if anyone could have done this. You always give credit to the students or the faculty or the board. I don't get to say this that often, but you're completely wrong. Only you could have created what we have now. You've taken an idea and turned it into this incredible community we have today. Which brings us as to why I'm standing up here tonight. To honor you, to recognize you, to thank you. Several board members, faculty, and parents have come together to create the Webster Award to honor educators who both represent and instill the major tenets that define the mission and vision of the university. Like you, Webster Award recipients will be dedicated to expanding hearts and minds of students and nurturing excellence in them by helping to encourage and celebrate academic, creative, and physical achievement. 12 years ago when you started University High School, your kid-first approach to education was thought as weird or unorthodox. Now, it's the standard. You have truly changed the way people view education in this community. Your passion for education and your extraordinary way with students is truly amazing. Thank you for letting me be a part of this journey. Without further ado, I am very proud to present the first ever Webster Award to my mom and dad, Chuck and Nancy Webster.
I am overwhelmed and really surprised, and to have our son give that speech makes it even more amazing. So, yes, it has been an amazing first 12 or 13, I never know how we're counting, but the first years, and I just can't wait to see what's going to happen for the next 20 or however long we are alive. And because I really think it'll be a long time that we're going to be with all of you. So this seems a little premature. I in doing all of this, we had a kid who was willing to share his house and parents with all these other kids. And we have a daughter who we abandoned her in Michigan, and somehow she also became involved in making the school what it is, and her husband the same, and as the Healy's always say, what would we have done in those early days without the Rice Krispie treats of Grammy? Whenever anything would go bad at school, like we didn't have something going right, my mother would just whip up Rice Krispie treats for all the kids, because that seemed to make sense, and that's what she did. So I just want to say, Chuck says he's not making a speech, so that will be the first ever. But it's always scary to say thank you to somebody, because then, why didn't you say, of course I thank every single parent who trusted me, every single child who trusted us and gave to the school with their whole lives, every single faculty member, every single staff member. But of late, my life at school has been changed by the presence of Christine Linder, who is my partner in the admission office. I was running that thing by myself for a long time and making up a lot of stuff, but it all worked out. But with Christine now, we don't have to make anything up, because everybody in this room has given us the stories to tell. So thank you. I'm really, really honored, and I've never had been tricked like this in my life, so thank you.
I am going to deny history and not say much. But the thing about when we came down here, and Rachel and I had a conversation shortly after we decided to come down here. And she was sobbing, and she was a freshman at Michigan, and she was crying so hard you couldn't hear the words. In fact, one time she was crying like that, and Nancy didn't know who she was on the phone. But at this time, in the middle of the sob, she says, I hope you know that your moving down there has destroyed any possibility that I will ever have had a relationship with my brother. Just to give you a sense of the stakes that we operated on. What's turned out, of course, is the opposite. Rachel and Hung moved down here, Grammy is here, and this has been a family devotion since we started. And it's enabled Nancy and I to do some of the things that we've done because we felt such support and meaning from all of you. I think the best part of all of this is I got at 2 schools to go to school with my children. And it is a remarkable experience. I am really proud of what all of us have accomplished. I'm really proud of the kids at our school and of the staff that really does make this real every day. It is the most collaborative place I have ever seen. And nothing is more important today than people learning to work with each other to make the world better. I think that happens most days at our school. Thank you very much.